Yes, you are. Welcome into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. It is Friday, the 5th of December, 2025, and it is a wonderful day in Mississippi. I love the cool rain. Everything's nice and easy. Nice drive into the station today. Just a great day. Just a great day. We are streaming on Rumble, by the way. We are streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't pick up the radio signal, hit us up on the stream. We're there. Also, if you wouldn't mind following me on Rumble, following me on X, and following me on YouTube, I would sincerely appreciate it. You can just look up Andrew Gosser, and on X, it's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. If you want to be a part of the program today, we would love to have you. Number hasn't changed, 601-879-0002. And the text line is open. Already got it rocking and rolling, 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. It is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. We need you out there fighting this battle. It just can't be some people behind a microphone. It takes us all. It really does. You know, the show is evolving, and I am truly enjoying the way it's evolving, especially with getting to meet some of y'all in person. Um, I have to say, it's very humbling when I'm at the Kroger or I'm at the feed store and someone just looks at me and smiles. And I smile back and they say, I recognize your voice. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And we have a great conversation. And the one yesterday, they didn't even agree with me about a lick, but they're tuned in. And they get it. And it is so great to know that humanity isn't completely gone yet. And you know, just like a gentle answer turns away wrath and a harsh word incites anger, iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another. And, that is where I'm going to go. I have to be truthful with you all. Yesterday was a very strange day for me. Uh, I have to say that um, the listeners here at WYB, there's been a group of y'all who have been really, really laying it on thick about Israel and how they're corrupt and how they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Um, some of y'all are Candace Owens strikers. And if you don't know what a striker is, it is what it is. You are striking because you like Candace. And that's just not me. Uh, I do not feel that Candace Owens is helping her cause, whether it be with the Turning Point situation with Charlie or whether that be with her trying to convince people Israel bad, okay? I just have to tell you where I'm at and what I'm thinking. And when it comes to the issue of Palestine or Israel, there's no one out there that's going to change my mind unless Holy Spirit drops a GBU on my head and there you go. That being said, uh, there was some things that really started making sense to me. Those of you who are theologians and do the hermeneutic thing, um, I have not truly heard anybody come to the revelation that's coming my way. And I just want to say that people who are blindly anti-Palestine, pro-Israel, or pro-Palestine and anti-Israel, and you're not seeing what is put before us, y'all are screwed up. And for me personally, it's easy because I can go talk to my pastor. I can go and literally go preach that sermon, but I almost feel like the American people need to hear this because, quite frankly, there is no one talking about this. And it's grounded in biblical principles. And some people are saying, aha, they're flipping Andy. They're flipping Andy. No. But we have to be truthful about this issue. I sincerely believe that, in my opinion, this is probably the one issue that's rocking the world. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, whether you are pro-Palestine, anti-Palestine, pro-Israel, anti-Israel, pro-Zionist, anti-Israel. I mean, there's so much confusion. And for a good 15 minutes yesterday, I had true clarity. And it was enlightening to me. It was enlightening. We're already getting phone calls. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to take this phone call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Andrew. This is Pastor JB again.
Hey, Pastor JB. How you doing?
Doing great. Along that topic of Israel.
Yes, sir.
And it's not so much the leaders, but it's the promise of God in Genesis 12:3.
Yep.
As well as there's a tendency, even among the theologians and in the evangelical circles, about the church replacing Israel. This replacement theology has run rampant.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to go to Romans chapter 11.
Yep.
And Paul explains it by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
God has not abandoned Israel. And I'm going to say this, as long as we are supporters of Israel, trying to steer them in the right way. Our job is to evangelize Israel, okay?
Yeah.
And to be that influence. But we've got to keep our stance, maintain our stance that Israel was God's first chosen people.
Mm-hmm.
We have been grafted in.
Yep.
We have not replaced Israel.
Mm.
So that's the key.
Yep.
So we get tied off of all these crazy theological tangents and all this political stuff. We're going to miss it. And the worst thing we can do is abandon Israel. And I pray to God that we stay on Israel's side because we're already in bad shape.
Oh,
the moment we abandon them, God's going to abandon us.
I think we're abandoning God, quite frankly, Pastor, here in America. You know,
we have.
You know, and I don't know how you feel about it, but and we're just two men of God, brothers, talking about this. We have embraced abortion. We have embraced homosexuality and all the things that made our country great. We're turning back on it, and we're watching our country fall, whether that be spiritually, morally, economically. You put in the filler there, and we're struggling. And I'm just telling you, Pastor, yesterday there were some things that came into my mind, and biblically grounded, biblically sounded.
Yes.
This replacement theory, I have just heard about this yesterday because I really started doing that, and so I have to do my research and study there. So I think that you're almost like what's the word? Reinforcing what I'm thinking and making sure that I go do the right things. And Pastor JB, I'm just saying this, knowing that you're out there listening and not just listening, but holding me accountable and making sure my feet are to the fire. Sir, I appreciate it. I really do.
Well, I really appreciate you. Enjoy the show. And I'm JB. You can ask Kim Wade about me, okay?
I promise I will, brother. And thanks for tuning
Okay.
in.
You be blessed.
You be blessed too. We'll
Enjoy.
talk to you soon. Bye bye. How, man, that just makes my day. Like if you're watching online, you can see the grin on my face. That is a real smile. That is a real grin. When I know I got brothers out there who are making sure that they're holding me accountable, bringing up Genesis 12, very familiar with it. Um, and there is a lot out there. And I just know that with what happened yesterday, I need to do some more research on that. And I'm Dogfish is checking in. The chat is actually blowing up. That's awesome. We have lots to talk about, but I just felt like I needed to start off with Israel, with the world in general, with Palestine, with Saudi Arabia. I mean, there is a lot going on there. And the sad part about it is if I don't talk about it here on WYAB, there are so many people who have no clue. And I've got this one texter. I'm thankful that you listen, and I'm grateful that you text her. But he's like, I'm not here to listen to a sermon. I'm here to listen to the news. And what I would respectfully say to you, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, so sir or ma'am, that always is the catch-all to get out of that one. That is what's driving the world economy. That is what's driving the world news cycle, if we're being frank about it. I mean, the United States, we give them aid, Israel aid. That's great, but I don't think we actually see the true extent of the aid. For instance, I think we gave them $4 billion. I know somebody's going to fact check me, but I think it's $4 billion a year. But then they get $17 billion worth of F-35s, and now they're getting the F-15EX upgrade. If I read the story right, so they are getting all sorts of gee whiz cool toys that, quite frankly, uh, really changed the battlefield over there. And I know we give the Kuwaitis F-15 QAs, which are a really nice upgrade to the F-15E. I know that we give the Saudis F-15 SAs, which is a really great upgrade to the F-18E. But they're asking for F-35s. And my goodness gracious, lovable me. You want to talk about an airplane? You want to talk about uh, a piece of military machinery that can just do things that other planes can't do? I mean, I'm just gonna say, without getting myself in trouble, and I wanna actually tell this story when I get back. We sometimes do things that we shouldn't do, and the next thing you know, you've given somebody something, you think they're gonna use it one way, they reverse engineer it, they study it, and all of a sudden they use it in a complete new way that no one has even thought about. And it's sitting right there, and all of a sudden you start using that tool in a different way, and everybody's like, "Why didn't we think of this?" And now the cat is out of the bag, and we just have to hope that we have 7th, 8th generation stuff to go after this, because it's gonna be a madness. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning.
And we are back. And I just got sent this. I'm just going to finish up what I was saying in the last hour. I want to finish, or the last segment. I want to finish this up, and then we've got to go to CNN. But you hear, I want to put a warning out to everybody who's listening to me. And I know I am one of those military veterans who's blessed to be on the radio, who does use my military background to kind of give you all a lay of the land of what's going on. But if you notice, I am very, very careful never to go into the technical aspects or the capabilities and limitations. And let me tell you why. I've got a dear friend of mine. I'm just going to give you his call sign. If you know Chicks, you know Chicks. Great call sign story. Won't say it now. But we were all at the bar, as Air Force officers do after a very long mission. And we were debriefing, and we were talking about this. And this bar is in the squadron, so you can talk about stuff. And on our airframe, sometimes it will be an American crew, all American crew, but sometimes we'll have Canadians or we'll have Australians. And the thing is that they may not know about some of the capabilities that are on the airplane they're flying. And it happened where somebody said something and I was about to say, no, that's not right. And because it was the right thing to do, I needed to correct my team. And just as I was about to go do it, Chick slapped his hand on my shoulder. And there's a difference between when we're working. If someone puts their hand on my shoulder, I keep on doing what I'm doing. But if they like put their hand on my shoulder with authority, that means stop what I'm doing and look at him. And he just gave me this look like, I know what you're about to say. Don't say it. Wait till we get back to the bar. I'll explain it to you and you understand. And he explained it to me that if I would have said what I was going to say, which was technically accurate, I could have possibly compromised something that those guys didn't know. And so that really hit hard on me. A year and a half later, there were stories that came out about how people were getting in trouble because they were saying things they weren't supposed to say. And so every time I see one of these yahoos on CNN, MSNBC, LSD, whatever the heck it is now, MS Now, BS Always, almost said the other one. I literally turn them off because I do not need to know the full capabilities and limitations of the F-22 Raptor or the F-15EX. And some people start talking about different things. And I'm just like, you moron. And maybe I'm taking it too far upon myself. Maybe I am making too much out of this. But when our boys and girls are in harm's way, I don't want to give the enemy any advantage. And if all of a sudden they know that one of our ships can do this thing that is just incredible, well, that might change their tactics. And now when we really want to use that element, when we really want to spring that trap and give that surprise, some retired vet in Mississippi just screwed it all up for everybody. And that's not going to be me. So to the three people who have told me that I was wrong with saying something, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but I'm not going to go down that road. And I'm not going to chastise you or belittle you, but what I would say is maybe think about what you're actually putting out there, because the Chinese are out there, the Russians are out there, now the Venezuelans are out there, and let me tell you this, the Israelis are out there. And if you do not think for 1 minute that they're not listening in on what we're doing and trying to grab intel from us, you're crazy. So with that being said, We got to go to CNN. Everybody knows Brian Cole, the suspected Unabomber. Has everybody seen a picture of Brian Cole? He is an African American. Doesn't matter. That's just who he is. But listen to CNN.
Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the
Dude, he's black. I'm not, and look, this ain't a racial thing. This is just who he is and who the FBI arrested. Why is it that the mainstream media is so focused on race? Because that is truly the last thing they've got to try to divide us. We've got people of all nationalities trying to heal this thing, and it is the mainstream media and the federal government and even the state government to a certain extent sitting there trying to rip us apart. Whether we identify as Americans together, Christians together, whatever it is that how we decide to identify ourselves together, these people are trying to destroy us. And it leads me to this other story with CNN. And by the way, to this unknown texter who sent me this link, this was actually coming from Benny Johnson, but I did get it from one of the unknown listers. We got to come up with a name for all of my unknown texters, because you guys are like the special forces of the Andrew Gosser show. You guys come in with all this stuff, and it hits, and it's hard. And it's really, really good stuff. Long story short is that there's been a deal. Netflix wins the bidding war for Warner Brothers and HBO, but they are spinning off CNN because no one wants CNN. It's because you got people like Jake Tapper telling blatant lies, and everybody is getting ticked off at it. Even the Democrats. Will Jake Tapper issue an apology? I don't think so. Has CNN ever truly apologized for anything? If they do it in the most innocuous, milquetoast way with no serious emotion or empathy or regret for making the error. You know what? Not that I won't talk for other radio hosts here on WYAB, but when I screw something up, number one, you know it. And it is my prayer that you guys hear it in my voice that, look, I'm owning this. Ultimately, I'm the one who's responsible behind this microphone, putting that stuff out to y'all, letting you know what's going on. And I never want to lose the trust of this audience. You guys are fantastic. You make the show go, and you all are incredible to me. So it's uncertain who will buy CNN. I've got the news story here from CNBC. The acquisition is going to expect to take 12 to 18 months. The deal is for Warner Brothers Discovery Film Studio and streaming service to buy HBO Max. Warner Brothers Discovery will still spin off its other TV networks, which includes TNT and CNN. No one wants those two networks. Why? Because they're full of it. They're full of it. They're losing audience. And, we're going to go take a break. I'm going to actually go to Adweek and see if we can pull up the latest CNN numbers. But there's more stuff we need to talk about. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Guess what? We'll be right back. Yeah, we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Chat is talking about Miss Candace Owens, and she is working overtime to go after Israel, which may or may not be true. She's working overtime to make a meal out of the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk, and it's affecting Turning Point USA. And everybody in the chat thinks that she's nuts. And guess what? I think so too. I don't know if you think so, but for me, don't want to deal with her. And I don't even put her on my radar scope. She's not even locked into my SIF codes. If you know, you know. So here we are, ad week for the week of 17 November. Cable news ratings. MS Now grows in prime time and total day. What? What you say? That's what my son used to say. According to the Nielsen Big Data and Panel for the week of November 17th, which is the most recent news, it's always take about 2 weeks to get caught up. Fox News averaged 2.12 million viewers and 189,000 in the demo. And again, for the demo, that is listeners from 24 to or 25 to 54. Those are the ones who spend the money. That's who Johnson & Johnson, that's who the Toyota dealerships, they want that demo. And here's an interesting thing. MS Now, they went up, right? 1.01 million viewers, total viewers, and only 90,000 viewers in the demo. So even though their numbers went up, it's still paltry numbers. CNN, this is truly interesting. CNN only has 570,000 viewers during the day, but they have more people who are in that demographic, 103,000. So let's look at this again and compare this and see why no one wants to buy CNN and why no one wants to buy MSLSD or MS Now. They're still calling it MSNBC on here, but here we go. Fox News, total viewers, 2.12 million. MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always, 1.01 million viewers. CNN, 570,000 total viewers. The demo, 189,000 for Fox, 90,000 for MS Now/BS Always, and 103,000 for CNN. No one's listening to their garbage. And it just seems to me that the only time that these people truly get any coverage is when they lie so bad and someone like Benny Johnson makes them world famous. They're terrible. They need to go away. I am looking forward to the day that MS Now is completely off the air. Maybe they buy it and just completely change it. And it's not even a shell of itself anymore. Brother Rick brings up a good point. CNN is played in every airport. That's why they get their half their views. And it's also where the public can't change the channel. Facts. So that means everybody stuck at a CNN airport has to listen to this hot garbage.
Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning.
I mean, what do you say other than he is either egregiously misinformed, in which case he should not be behind the CNN microphone talking, or B, he's a liar. Yellow journalism. Terrible. It's not like I'm making this stuff up. These are the receipts. The receipts are the receipts. Yep. I'm going to shift gears again and talk about the Supreme Court. And everybody knows, Trump's got like a 96% win rate when his cases get to the Supreme Court. We talked about it yesterday where the Democrats take all the lower court rulings and they say, oh, we're kicking Trump's butt. But in reality, they just have the lower courts and they are ultimately being reversed and denied. And here is another example of this, but it's really not good news to me personally, and I'll tell you why. Supreme Court allows Texas to use redistricting map challenged as racially discriminatory. Updated at December 5th at 8:58 a.m. Eastern, so that's 7:58 a.m. Central Time Zone here. That's why I love this slot on WYAB. I get all that breaking news. I can bring it to you all. We can have a discussion about it. The Supreme Court on Thursday gave the green light to Texas efforts to be able to use a new congressional map favorable to Republicans in the 2026 elections, despite a lower court's ruling that the map is unconstitutionally sorts voters based on race. In a brief, unassigned opinion, a majority of the court granted the state's request to pause the ruling earlier this month by a 3-judge district court in El Paso. Here is the problem. Every time any state flips control, whether it be from Republican to Democrat or Democrat to Republican, they are immediately going to redraw the maps. I really would. If I was a Republican and I was in California and by the grace of God, we took over everything, whoop, gone. And people wonder why I am for the filibuster. People wonder why I am for keeping some of the checks and balances in places, even though they are not necessarily written down or codified. We keep those things. Now, let's be fair. We have to compare Texas to these other states. And I am getting this. My source for this information right here is coming from arguably the best congressman in Congress, Congressman Tim Burchett. If you are not following Tim Burchett on X at Tim Burchett, TimBurchett, if you are not following Tim Burchett, you are wrong. You are wrong. Best congressman out there. And I'm not trying to hate on anybody from Mississippi or anywhere else. Tim is just the best. He is the best. Congress would be a lot better place if we had about 40 of those guys like him, because there's only one Tim. But this is what Tim posted. When Democrats complain about redistricting, show them this. Massachusetts, 36% Republicans. How many Republican congressmen does Massachusetts have? 0. Gerrymandered. The state of Maine, 46% Republican. How many congressional seats? 0. Do you think that those 46% of Republicans are being disenfranchised? How about the state of Connecticut? 42% Republican. How many Republican congressmen? 0. You listening, Democrats? New Mexico, 46% Republicans, 0 seats. Gerrymandering. New Hampshire, 48% Republican. How many seats? 0. Rhode Island, 42% Republican. How many Republican seats? 0. Vermont, the billionaires. Got Cole Sanders out there. Vermont, 32% Republican, no seats. Hawaii, 38% Republican, no seats. Delaware, 42% Republican, no seats. Gerrymandering is only bad when Republicans do it. This doesn't even talk about Illinois, California, or New York. So for all you Democrats out there, cry me a stinking river. The Democrats have already baked in their racism and their anti-Republican bias into the cake in Congress. If we actually started dividing the state, we would have the Republicans would have 20-seat majority, standard, not even debatable. It's terrible. And then people get upset when the Republicans start doing the same thing. Can you blame them? Can you blame them? Andrew, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I get it. And I'm out here saying I wouldn't do it. I certainly wouldn't do it in the middle of, a decade. I'd wait till we're supposed to do it every 10 years. I go in there and then I plow face. Perhaps Mississippi needs to redraw their districts. Oh my goodness. That just reminds me of something else. I got to write that down. But long story short is that for everybody crying and whining about the U.S. Supreme Court allowing to redraw these districts, you just got to get over it. And by the way, Louisiana winning that court case, everything else going to change everything. You are going to see so many states realign. It is what it is. Florida going to get some more. You'll see all sorts of other states do it. Both ways. And we'll just become more and more hyperpolarized. We'll become more and more divided. We won't be coming together. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9. We will be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. You know, something come up through your timeline or whatever. And it just hits you different. And you know, here at WYAB, Clay Edwards has made a distinct point to bring back the word retard because retard has been taken over, hijacked by the political left to make it mean someone with handicaps, and it's not true. It's not true. Uncle Elon just posted the word retard is not meant to be for people with handicaps. It's meant for non-handicapped people who are stupid. If you don't understand this, you're a retard. Uncle Elon, he out there just, yeah, he out there trolling, and I shouldn't fall for him. He, he just cracks me up sometimes, and my level of humor is just a little bit different sometimes. So, you know, we've got so much more to talk about in the next hour. We do have to talk about the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and not only the testimony that happened yesterday behind closed doors, and now all of a sudden, just like we said here on the Andrew Gosser Show, this was going to end up being nothing burger. It turned out to be a nothing burger. And it turns out the guy who really started leaking all this stuff to Congress, well, that 4-star Admiral is a goner. And good on him. Good on Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, for getting rid of that because we don't need those types of people in the military sitting there leaking secrets, leaking what's going on, especially a 4-star, man. Come on, man. You've putting in over 27 to 28 years to get there, and then you're going to, well, you're not going to lose your retirement or anything, but you're not going to retire with the flags and honors that you thought you were. We're going to talk about it in the next hour. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. Yeah, we're back for hour 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show. Today, Friday, December 5th, 2025. You are listening to 103.9 WYAB. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt signal, we're streaming worldwide. Pick us up. And also, please, if you are listening to us online and you haven't followed us on my streaming service, whether it be Rumble, YouTube, or X, would you give us a follow? It's Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Clay likes to say all gas, no brakes. Some days it's like that. Today is definitely feeling like it's one of those days. If you want to be part of the show, number is 601-879-0002. The text line is open, 601-879-5060. And our mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And look, blessed are the ones who find wisdom and the ones who get understanding. Proverbs. I just live there, ladies and gentlemen. People ask. I'm in that book every day. Every day. And it just means a lot to me. Look, we were talking last hour about some of the stuff going on in Venezuela, and there is more coming out in the after effects of that. This is coming from The Hill. Hegseth ousted Navy Admiral who raised concerns about boat strikes. Report. This is by Ellen Mitchell of The Hill. And this whole story tries to paint the Admiral who was linking classified information to Congress and to the news media saying, oh, he's really a good guy. And the truth is we have mechanisms in place in the military where we think we're getting bad information. We can go to our JAGs. We can go to our senior military commanders, and we can go ahead and take care of that to try to go ahead and resolve the situation. Hegseth announced a surprise retirement on October 16th with Halsey only 1 year into his tenure during a major new military operation. An extraordinary move. Actually, no. Commanders, even at the 4-star level, get relieved all the time because they're not carrying out the will of the political leadership. That's how it works. That's how it works in the military. The military has civilian bosses. I've worked under Republicans. I've worked under Democrats. And it's just how it is. And if you're having that much problem, retire. I know many officers who in 2008 and 2009 just were like pulling the plug. I thought about it, but I knew if I could make it to 2011, I'd be all right. So I hung around. But I think if I would have had longer to go, there's a very significant chance, a very significant statistical chance that I would have just pulled chalks early. I didn't enjoy some of that stuff, but my command was awesome. My commander was great. Guys and gals I was working with were great. I was actually talking to one last night. She's doing awesome. Hegseth announced, I'm sorry, I already read that. Tensions between the two had simmered since the start of the year when the newly confirmed Hegseth met with Halsey via secure video conference. 2 Pentagon officials and former officials told the outlet. So whoever these 2 Pentagon officials are and former officials, just you need to be removed, and you just need to go on. So this is just going to show you how big the administrative state is. We've talked about the deep state, whether you want to New World Order, all that stuff. I kind of like the administrative state because it's true. Everybody agrees about that there is an administrative state and they are running the show. It's not the politicians. And perhaps, it is not as out there as the deep state. Not everybody can realize that there are a group of people out there trying to run the world. And they're kind of doing a good job of it right now. Not that they're doing a good job of running the world, but they're doing a very good job of accumulating power across all uh, all countries, all continents. They're out there. So Pete Hegseth wasn't messing around. It says Hegseth was also suspicious that Halsey may have leaked details about those operations from which media reports surfaced. Well, when you're sitting there briefing your chief commanders, and all of a sudden, 3 days later, details of that secured meeting starts getting out there to the New York Times and everywhere else, I'd be upset. Think about it, not just from a political point or a military point, as a business point. You're having a secure meeting with your business team. You've got a new product. You're going to be bringing it out there. And all of a sudden they leak it and it gets back to your competitor. Yeah, you're going to be upset. You're going to be upset. And this just flows right in. And then there's a picture of Admiral Halsey. And you know what? This guy looks to me, just by his countenance and his facial expressions, like he was not messing around. And he's out of there. I don't have his full biography. Maybe I go look that up later. I can certainly do that. But we have more information coming out from a closed door secure congressional meeting yesterday. Admiral Bradley's testimony delivers devastating blow to Dem narrative of drug boat story. Yes, if we can go back to the Hill with Hegseth ousted admiral who raised concerns about boat strikes, then we can definitely say with this headline, Admiral tells lawmakers there was no kill them all order in an attack that killed drug boat survivors. We can go ahead and talk about this is coming from Red State. Admiral Bradley's testimony delivers devastating blow to Dem narrative. And we should, because for anybody who was listening to this show or shows like it, all the military people, we were all texting each other and chatting with each other. This sounds like this is some BS. And other words were used, but not suitable for radio, and I respect that. Democrats and the media have been trying to whip up a story about the Trump administration taking out drug boats. They thought they had something with a story from the Washington Post that claimed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth ordered a second strike on a drug boat when there were survivors in the water. Well, there were, but they, number one, didn't fall under the laws of armed conflict, and they didn't fall under the rules of engagement. They weren't official combatants. They were terrorists. We can go on and on and on ad nauseum about how these people didn't, fall under the categories. Well, that all went up in smoke yesterday when Admiral Bradley went in there and started talking. Lawmakers viewed the video of the strikes as Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican of Arizona, explained. And this was a joint hearing, so you have both congressmen and senators in there asking the questions. And this is Senator Tom Cotton from C-SPAN. We're just going to listen to what Senator Tom Cotton had to say.
I want to thank Admiral Bradley and General Kane for coming to brief about the strikes on September 2nd, which were righteous strikes. These are narco-terrorists who are trafficking drugs that are destined for the United States to kill thousands of Arkansans and millions of Americans. The first strike, the second strike, and the third and the fourth strike on September 2nd were entirely lawful and needful, and they were exactly what we would expect our military commanders to do.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. The JAGs were in the room. and again, us military people, the JAGs are coming to give the brief. Everybody starts rolling their eyes. They start popping their monsters, and we start getting caffeined up because we know the eyelids are going to get heavy. It's going to be a long brief. It's going to suck. It's important that we get there, but it's just so boring. It's like pouring talcum powder straight into your eyeballs, and it's miserable. There's misery. It just sucks. Oh, you can tell I've been through a few of those, and I absolutely loved and enjoyed every one. Not. It's terrible. Representative Rick Crawford also of Arizona, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, so he's a Republican, didn't go on camera, but he made a statement. Those who appear troubled by the videos of military strikes on designated terrorists have clearly never seen the Obama-ordered strikes, or for that matter, those of any other administration over recent decades. Crawford sniped in a statement. This is coming from, I believe, the Washington Post. So they do you see how the mainstream media does it? They just use little words to turn people off. And quite frankly, after MSNBC goes default and CNN goes default, I hope the Washington Post is right next in line to go away. I am deeply concerned by the public statements made by others that seek to ignore the realities of targeting terrorists to score political points. Concur. I wonder if we went back to 2001 and we made some strikes on some Saudi terrorists who were planning to take down the Twin Towers, would we be all upset? Would Congress be doing what they're doing right now? I think not. This is just the game that we're playing right now, and no one absolutely wants to go and admit that we are going after narco terrorists. It's like Democrats don't care what these guys and gals are doing. They don't care about our kids. They don't care about our economy. They don't care about what these narco terrorists are doing, the crime that's involved. They don't care about the people's lives who are destroyed. I can't even talk about my brother John and the loss of his son without getting fired up. So it's kind of personal to me. And if they need somebody to come back and push the button to start blowing these suckers out of the ocean, whether it be the Caribbean or the Pacific, sign me up. I can't go do the PRT anymore, but if you need an experienced person out there to give the order to drop or push the pickle button, etc., I'll happily volunteer for that. Not happily, because I don't take joy in that, but it needs to be done, and I would go do that. So this whole narrative that got everybody spun up is now being put into a neat little box inside another box, and we're going to dump it in the ocean, and it's not going to be heard from again. And hopefully Americans continue to learn that the media it could possibly be the number one enemy of the United States of America. And good on them. Good on them. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back right here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. And the truth of the matter is, if we've got a problem with something, we've got to talk about it. We've got to call a spade a spade. This is coming from Mississippi Today. I realize it's a liberal paper with a liberal point of view, and I'm sure some of the facts are spun in a way that maybe isn't completely as forthcoming as I would hope. But the facts, as they're presented in this story, are truly troubling. And we, as Republicans and as conservatives, don't like what's happening in the Hinds County Jail. Dozens locked in Hinds County jails without an indictment, some for over a year. Goodness, brother Sean. I hope Sean Yorkeron comes in today. Sean and Lindsay are going to be here in about a half hour. You know, I'd like to get Sean's thought on this, because when I read this, all it does is make me angry, and I want to go and say, you know, this is what they did to J6ers, and it's right here in Hinds County, Mississippi. At least 60 people arrested in Hinds County have been jailed in its detention facilities for over 3 months, including at least 5 or more than a year, with no indictment filed against them and with no pathway to trial in sight. That's North Korea. Well, that's not North Korea. You're already dead. They just execute you. That's Russia. That's Colombia. That's Cuba. That's not America. What's going on in Mississippi? One man has been in jail for 18 months on drug charges without an indictment and has no attorney to move his case along. Maybe there's a attorney out there who can take this dude's case pro bono. According to the court records reviewed by the Marshall Project, Jackson, and I don't know about, I'm sure this is like ultra left-wing craziness, but if there's somebody who's been in jail for 18 months without an indictment, there's something wrong. And maybe someone from the Hinds County Jail and can say, you know what, this isn't true. This is what's going on. I would love to put that side of the story out there. But when I see this, and look, again, this is one of my go-to lines, but you know what? I know there's a lot of people on the left who listen to me. I know there's a lot of people on the right who listen to me. And when we hear something like this, that all goes away and we're like, fix this. If the guy needs to be indicted, then indict him. If the guy is not going to get indicted, then get him out. Or her. Mississippi is one of the few states where people can be jailed indefinitely without indictment. That's scary. Honestly, yikes. Could someone come and arrest you or come and arrest me and just throw me in jail? The federal receiver operating the Raymond Detention Center has warned the county district attorney that the jail cannot be filled or fixed while people remain locked up without a way to get them to court. And this story goes on. Dude, I'm putting it on X. Because, well, I have no problem putting people in jail for committing crimes and doing their times. I want the system to work. And being put in jail without indictment is terrible. And I don't agree with it. I don't know if you do. But if you do agree with that, feel free to give me a call, 601-879-0002. But I do not. And when I read this, I got fired up. And it goes into, you know, the conditions of the jail. I'm not so much concerned about that. Jail is supposed to suck. It's supposed to be a place where people go And once they go there one time, they never want to go back. Prisons are the same way. And I don't even think this is the sheriff's problem. He's just doing what the lawyers are doing. I mean, if you get a DUI and you wipe out a family of 4, you're going to jail. But you should be indicted. You should be going through all of that stuff. And it sincerely bothers me that we have stuff like that out there. It's quite frankly infuriating. We've got here more good. This is good news. Great news. Yesterday in Jackson, Mississippi, 15 people become U.S. citizens during ceremony in Jackson. I'm looking there. I see Hispanics. I see white people. I see Indians. I see black people. I see a judge holding his right hand. They're all holding right hands. They all got their papers. Asian guy smiling. One wearing a mask. That's that's his right. But 15 people became U.S. citizens yesterday at a naturalization ceremony at the U.S. District Court in Jackson. Awesome. The system works. These people didn't jump the line. These people didn't cheat to get into the United States. They went through the system. That's how it's supposed to work. And yet, we have people whining and complaining that we are getting the people out of this country who cheated to get here, who take away jobs for lower income people, because that's where the majority of illegal immigrants are taking the jobs from, lower income, lower class, lower middle class. It's not racist to say that. It's just the truth. And it's great to see people who love this country, who understand what it means to be here, who lived in a third world country that, probably wasn't too good, where they had to go and experience a lot of things that so many Americans, they can't even think up or dream of. I'm just saying this. I know we have poverty here in Mississippi. I know we do. I know we have poverty here in the United States. But until you go to Africa and see the poverty there, or go to Central or South America and see the poverty there, it's unlike anything here in the United States. And I know it's pretty bad in Jackson in some places. I'm not arguing that. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just saying there's a lot worse out there than what we have right here. And I absolutely am excited to have these new Americans here. God bless you. Welcome to the United States of America. I hope you bring incredible benefit, not just to yourselves and to your family, but you benefit our country and make it a better place to live. It'll be awesome. When we get back, Operation, I can't remember what, Swamp something or other, they're hoping to get up to 5,000 illegal aliens out of New Orleans, and I don't know how many more out of Mississippi, but ICE is here operating, and I'm just hopeful that they get rid of all those people, as many of those people as they can. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about Uncle Elon, again, being fined $140 million by the European Commission over deceptive blue checkmark and lack of transparency. BBC isn't transparent. The BBC gets a blue check mark. It's absolutely ridiculous what is happening over in Europe, and specifically France and the UK. And we're going to talk about it when we get back right here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Oh, yeah. The dulcet tones of the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. That's right. This is coming from the Magnolia Tribune. Immigration crackdown in New Orleans has a target of 5,000 arrests Is that possible? This is coming from the Magnolia Tribune. Let's click that guy right there. The Trump administration officials overseeing the immigration crackdown launched this week in New Orleans are aiming to make 5,000 arrests, a target that some city leaders who oppose the operation say is unrealistic and would require detaining more than just violent offenders. You notice how the people who like crime and who just want to make places miserable are always complaining? It's an ambitious goal that would surpass the number of arrests during a 2-month law enforcement blitz this fall around Chicago. Yeah, Chicago's crazy. Has anybody seen the video where they have Americans in cars ramming ICE officials and then running, and then the mobs try to protect them? I'm not making this up. That is happening. And if the goal is 5,000, I hope they get it. Maybe that, I don't know if this is specifically speaking to New Orleans or if this is in and around New Orleans. Does this include Mississippi? Because they're here too. Let's see if I can find the name of the operation real quick. Nope. They didn't use the name of the operation. The Census Bureau figures that New Orleans had a foreign population of almost 100,000 residents. So they're trying to get 5%. The amount of violent crime attributed to illegal immigrants is negligible, Morrell said, pointing out that crime in New Orleans is at historic lows. Do you notice how all across America, crime, to the people who are sitting there looking at it saying crime's going through the roof, but to all of the people who work in government, to all those people who get paid to fight crime, oh, it's down, we're doing great. It's like my lion eyes. It's like my lion eyes looking at me. It's saying that federal agents in both marked and unmarked vehicles began spreading across New Orleans and its suburbs Wednesday. So that kind of answers it right there. Alejandra Vasquez. Not sure how to pronounce that. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's just how it is with me. Who runs a social media page in New Orleans that reports on the whereabouts of federal agents, says that they have received a flood of messages and photos and videos since the operation began. Wow, that would be a good web page to kind of monitor. I'm glad that she put that out there. I hope the feds are monitoring that so that they can use that. Several hundred agents from Customs, Border Patrol, U.S. Immigration's Custom Enforcement are participating in the 2-month operation. So it's not a 1 week. Did it say? Maybe I just interpreted that wrong. It's a 2-month operation. So they should get that. And of course, the Magnolia Tribune, where I got this, I just want to say this is not the normal Magnolia Tribune writers. They're actually pulling this from AP. I should have stated that in the beginning. Kind of makes a little bit more sense. Not that I don't ever, if a media outlet wants to go down a certain road or not, but normally I don't get that vibe from Magnolia Tribune. Russ and his writers there, a little bit more to the center. Some would say to the right, but nope. What else do we got? Oh, I remember. And we talked about this. Sorry for blowing all your ears out, but this is a pretty good deal. Remember, we talked about the brain drain survey and how there are people complaining about everybody who gets a degree in Mississippi leaves. Well, the first results are there, and the survey is still open for those who want to do it. But there's a bunch of answers on why people either left Mississippi or came back to Mississippi. Describe why you stayed in Mississippi or moved back. People are saying, this is my home. I want to make it better. My family lives here. I love Mississippi, and it can't get better if everyone leaves. Investment and buy-in is important. Describe why you moved away from Mississippi. It was the only way to find a job in my field. Job opportunities. Here are the ones that kind of lack of economic opportunity. I think there is some sort of truth to that. I do believe that Governor Tate Reeves is trying to bring economic investment into the state, and that's good. But then you knew these ones were coming. The people are too close-minded. The lack of job opportunities, poor infrastructure, poor leadership. There aren't enough social activities, too much poverty, terrible health care, high crime, poor water quality in Jackson. A lot of these issues stem from racism. Nah, man. I'm sure you moved somewhere else. Good luck to you over there. Here you go. My political beliefs do not align with the state, and as a result, my job prospects were slim to none in the field where I work in politics. I got my undergrad education in Mississippi, but moved to pursue my master's to give me the best chance in finding a job I love. I will just say this. I was talking to my senior political advisor, and we were talking about people who have degrees in political science versus people who don't. And we have both come to the conclusion in our extensive experience in running political campaigns, uh, in my case personally, being a political candidate, running a political campaign, and here's the important part, Democrats and Republicans, I win, never lost. I can tell you that the people who had these poli-sci degrees, they were the absolute worst. And I had one on my team one time, and I realized real quick that we did not want him anywhere near our operation, whether it be for my personal campaign or campaigns we were helping with. And you know what? I do understand what this person is saying, because I guess I could be called or attempted to be called a hypocrite because I left Illinois. I consider myself a left Illinois lefty, but it wasn't that I didn't enjoy working in politics up there. I did. I had a great time. It was very successful. I just got tired of it. I did. I wanted to help train up the next generation of people there. Quite frankly, Turning Point was born in Illinois, and they have great. I didn't need to be there. I came down here. I wanted to be a farmer. Do I get back involved with the political process? Yes. But am I running campaigns? Nope. Am I going out there doing stuff? Not really. A lack of economic opportunity, a lack of diversity in ideas and beliefs felt oppressive. I will tell you this. When people say that there's a lack of diversity and a lack of ideas, I wonder because these same people who want to bring in this diversity, it's like going to the bathroom, not washing your hands, and then going into the kitchen to bake a cake. You're getting diversity in your cake. It's garbage. And it's not that we can't look at those things, but we have a proven track record of some of these quote unquote diversity ideas that end up just running everything into the ground. What ideas do you have for making your community and or Mississippi a more attractive place to live? We have to stay here and be invested. We need to invest to help make Jackson better. I agree with that. Rural healthcare and access has to improve. I think we do need to make Jackson better. It's been run by Democrats for decades. And we need to fix the water there. We need to fix the electricity there. We need to improve housing, not by affordable housing, but by allowing the market to correct itself. This is, I think, a good one. Build the capital. For example, downtown Jackson has way too much potential for it to be not to be more bustling. improve public transportation in our capital and surrounding neighborhoods. I think public transportation is important. I like rail more than buses, to be truthful with y'all, but that's just me. Chicago has the best civilian rail transportation system in America, in my opinion. DC is pretty good. New York used to be good, but it's a hellhole now, so you don't want to be on the subway there. But the light rail, the Chicago and Northwestern, as it used to be known, now known as Metro, I would say it's the best in America. Maybe we could get some ideas from there. We have to be more accepting of all people, help people who are not able to pull themselves up due to generational poverty, and find a way to improve education in underperforming rural areas. That starts by getting rid of the teachers' unions and getting rid of all the hot garbage that is being pumped into our education, into our schools, specifically inside Jackson and Hinds County. We need to allow teachers to be teachers again. Get the LGBTQ nonsense out of there. Telling kids that it's not okay to be a cat or a dog, or if you feel like being a dinosaur today, that's okay. This positivity, affirmation stuff has got to go. 1 + 1 does equal 2. 2 plus I did say 1 + 1 does equal 2. 2 + 2 does not equal shiny object squirrel. We got to get that. Elect younger and more progressive leadership. Well, I agree with half of that statement. Elect younger and more conservative leadership. Work with state and regional leaders as much as practical to gain benefits for Jackson. One of the things that we're seeing here is that Jackson is pretty messed up. My goodness, I got to take a commercial break. We will be right back. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Yeah, you're back. Andrew Gosser Show, final segment of the show today. And wouldn't you know it, Brother Kingfish is in the studio. What's up, Brother Kingfish?
Against my will.
Against your will. Nah, it's not against your will.
I was enjoying a night. I was going to look forward to a nice, lazy Friday. Then Sean has to call me up. Hey, I need some help. Can you get in and help me today? Okay.
Brother Sean, it's great that you've got such a great heart, Kingfish, coming in, hooking up Brother Sean, helping out Miss Lindsay.
No, you understand. He's going to owe me.
Oh, snap. Oh,
I'm building
snap.
up favors here. He's going to owe me.
Yep. I hear that. I'm just making sure the levels are set right. We were going to talk about something.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Good old Brother Archie taking that swing.
Well, that is David L. Archie.
Oh, David L. Archie.
L is for lunatic.
So you've got the video.
Videos on my website, jacksonjambalaya.com. Yeah, basically the other night you had a St. Andrews girls basketball game. Think about that, folks. St. Andrews girls basketball game. And David just has to get into a damn ruckus. You know, he does this fracas, whatever you want to call it, everywhere he goes. Doesn't matter where he is. Well, it happened then. But what's interesting, though, is the guy that he got into it with, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one commenter said on my site said he was cussing and stuff, and that's why the guy. But you'll see in the video, this white guy, he comes up there, he's security. He's wearing one of those vests so he can cover up his little concealed weapon, you know.
Yeah.
But he has a security firm, and this is the same guy that, you know, the mistletoe gala fight that video made all the rounds last year, you know, where the cops are holding the guy and this other guy's sucker punching him. Well, this is the same guy who was sucker punching. I mean, so now we got two videos of this guy, and I mean, he shoved David down and back in the bleachers, and then David takes a swing at him, you know, and then they threw him out, you know, and it's like,
so it's
you're not a cop, dude.
It's not necessarily David's fault. David was assaulted first, and then he.
Well, I mean, he was probably knowing him, he's probably running his mouth off and stuff. He may not have been, but I'm sure he probably was. But then, you know, if the issue, then tell him to leave. He won't leave, then call the police. I mean, don't try to be Billy Badass.
Yeah, for me personally, you know, I'm not going to throw haymakers at anybody. I'm well past that age, and quite frankly, my size.
Well, haymaker's a bad punch anyway. I mean, you're supposed to. There's better ways to punch.
If I'm throwing a punch, I better connect, because if I don't make good connection, I'm in trouble.
Learn how to do the Dempsey roll.
There you go. You are listening to Andrew Gosser Show. Kingfish is next, right here on 103.9 WYAB.